allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the minutes from our last September board meeting. I need a motion to approve.
Minutes?
Yes.
Can I make an adjustment to those?
Well, make a motion to, make a motion,
Make a motion to,
and then we'll modify them.
okay, go ahead. Are we modifying?
Yeah, go ahead, make a modification.
Okay, modification. Councilman Williams arrived at 6:59 because he was at the 9/11 memorial service representing the town.
Okay. Now I'll make the motion.
Make the motion.
Go ahead.
I make the motion accepting minutes as correct.
Second.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion on the minutes? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. General bills, vouchers. Who has the general bills?
That was me. I make a motion to pay vouchers 226 through 256, totaling $71,601.04.
Second.
Any discussion? Is there any big ones or anything there, Kelly?
We had a couple of bigger ones. The usual for payroll, utilities, office supplies.
Okay.
Nothing out of the normal.
All right. Any other discussion on those in favor say aye.
I move they be accepted and paid as is.
Second on that?
I'll second it.
Sir? Any other discussion? The selective bill, just so you know, we paid our insurance a year ahead. It came due. There's some mix up in their billing to us, so we just paid it a year ahead. So all our insurances for the town of Homer are now paid through the end of 2021. So with that, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Monthly reports. We need to receive and file.
I make a motion to receive and file the reports for clerk, code, dog, supervisor, and the chiefs for the month of September.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Just so you know, when you're reading through there, the chief's report is the fire chief. He does a report every month, and it was going to one of the fire commissioners, which was supposed to be sending it to me so I could pass it. We never got it. Talk to the chief, so he's going to start sending it to me and to the clerk so that we can include it in our reports. So that's just a new one that we'll be seeing what our Homer Fire Department is doing, and they're very busy, very professional, and it's not a good thing that they are busy, but it is. So those in favor of receiving and file, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. I'm going to do the privilege of the floor, and then I'm going to get to you. So privilege of the floor. Anyone have anything on the privilege of the floor?
I have a question for the board. My name is Miles Dudgeon. I'm a resident of the town. At the last meeting, you discussed the possibility of having to reassess property values in order to raise more revenue through property taxes. I asked the board, how does this jive with an activity like adding billboards or changing our zoning laws that is proven to lower property values? How does that work in your head, that you're going to raise our taxes but lower our values? Think on it if you want. I just wanted to make that statement. We presented you all with the study from Philadelphia that shows this. So there's background that I know all of you have received. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Yes?
I'd like to present you with another 44 signatures.
Okay.
And with the total signatures, I know from other people who have presented petitions against the billboards, that's well over 700 of residents in the county. Secondly, I would just like to add that I just made a trip to visit relatives in the D.C. area. And on the way down through Pennsylvania and the way back, I got a first-hand look and so did my husband, of the numerous billboards, X-rated, girls, 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 liquor stores, ambulance chasing attorneys, marijuana dispensaries, a giant billboard that said, if you vote for a Democrat, democracy dies, a dead fetus, which is about 10 foot high. And my husband and I, as we left Pennsylvania, we thought, phew, what an ugly state. And I thought about how people enter our little community. What are their impressions going to be? And how will they leave?
Anyone else on the privilege of the floor? Yes.
Just like to say thank you for, taking your time to review this proposed law that we're trying to put together and doing it right. Obviously, it's been a long time coming, and I just want to say anything that we can do to try to help develop and grow the town, the city, the county. It's all going to help every taxpayer, so we can offset the rise that unfortunately seems like your board's going to have to make some tough decisions in 2025. But very thankful that you guys are very fiscally conservative, fiscally responsible individuals, and I know that the burden's going to be minimized. But anything we can do to try to help to make the county grow is something that every town and city should look for. So I just want to say thank you for everything that everybody's doing. I know it's a very polarizing topic, and we're just coming with nothing but positive ideas and positive things to help for the county. So thank you.
Who do you represent?
Myself.
Anyone else on the privilege of the floor?
Mike, do you want me to talk now or later on village stuff that's pertinent?
Go ahead.
All right. Village had our meeting last night, and I don't see we have a county legislator here tonight?
No.
Okay, so I'll kind of, we had one at ours, and he mentioned a couple things. One was the sales tax, which has been postponed. Our representative, Reed Cleveland, is against it for numerous reasons. You can reach out to him for why. Also, November 21st, the county strategic plan is having a public hearing at the legislative chambers at 6 o'clock. The strategic plan should be on the county website starting tomorrow, I believe. We had Senator Leah Webb's representative at our meeting last night, and Senator Webb is proposing a bill, I believe it's S670, I have to double check on that, but it is a support for a resolution to redo the AIM formula, which would increase municipal aid to local governments. They said that hasn't been redone in 10 years, which means it's due, and if that passes, that would mean more municipal aid for local governments. She's asked for a resolution from local governments, so I know Hal's going to draft one up. I'm sure he'll get with you, Mike, and then you can present to your board, see if you guys want to present one yourself. She says the more that they get that, it helps the cause. The fire department is going to, I don't know if very many people are aware that volunteer firefighters are becoming more rare in the state of New York. There's been a drastic decrease, and as well, the state has drastically increased the training requirements. So the village, the town of Homer, relies on our volunteers as they're aging, so we're trying to get more. We have come up, our volunteer chiefs have come up with what's called the LOSAP, and it's a retirement program. And it is a defined contribution, which means the village and those that contract with us, we provide a defined amount of money every year that goes into an account so that when they reach retirement age, they get a lump sum at the end. The village board, we have budgeted $750 a year per person, and it's going to come up for a permissive referendum this November. We will be putting more information out on that through WHXC, through the Homer News, and on our website. But we feel it is very important because it's not so much for our current older members, because they've committed 20 years or so already. It is to help encourage and retain our younger ones who are starting out. So it's not just you join and get $750. You have to have a good year, which means you have to attend so many calls. You have to attend so much training. You have to do some other things. So this encourages participation and encourages longevity. I just wanted to put that out there. So we have already budgeted for this to be successful. So there's not going to be any increase on the contracts because that is set. If it fails, the money will go into a machinery reserve and we will try again next year. But I highly encourage this to go forward because it's a great thing. And for those that are already in and some of our firefighters are over retirement age and they're still out there. They just get an automatic $750 a year for Christmas or however they want to spend it. But it really could make a difference for our younger generation. And I also add in the fact that if we had to pay for a professional firefighting force, the cost would be astronomical. So our volunteers really pull a heavy load, and this is something that we can help them out with. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else privileged? Yes.
Yes, it sounds like the residents are really talking about the beauty of Homer and not having these huge billboards that say all kinds of offensive things. And the businesses are talking about growing Homer, but it sounds like instead of billboards, maybe they could focus on something called the internet, where people can look up businesses and not have to have their children subjected to these giant portable billboards. So I hope we can come to not a compromise.
Can I just follow on to that? We're New Year's. Anybody know who I am? Anybody? Very few of you know who I am. We are the kind of growth I think that Homer wants. We purchased real estate in Homer recently. We could have bought in Pulaski or Mexico or many other places in upstate New York, but we chose Homer because of the quality and character of this community. And I really want to push back on the notion of growth, that billboards are going to create growth. I think the kind of growth you want here is building on the aesthetic, the quality of this community. And that's why we chose this place. And the billboards are not going to bring people like us. Maybe you don't want us, but we're paying our taxes. We're buying real estate and we love it here. Absolutely love it. This is a strategic move you're making that counters the quality of this community that brings people like us here. It's not just retired people like us. There are people who can work from home and they can choose where they want to live. They don't have to work wherever they used to work. They can work anywhere. They would want to live in a place like this. This place is gorgeous. It's beautiful, and the people are wonderful. So please, think strategically about your community, about the decision you're going to make. Which way do you want to go? Do you want to go with billboards and get people coming in from 81 to buy a beer, take a leak, and head out? Or do you want people who are going to buy and invest in this community and come in here and spend their money on the various services and merchants that are around? Thank you.
Would you state your name, please, because we
My name
don't.
is Andy Coble, and this is Karen O'Neill Coble.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Anyone else privileged of the floor? Yes.
Michael Rothman, Town of Homer. Supervisor Park, you pointed out at the end of the last meeting that the solar panels, one of the solar farms is an eyesore, and I think that's, a valid thing to say. I just would ask the whole board to think about what constitutes an eyesore.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Anyone else privileged of the floor? Yes.
I just kind of wanted to go off of what he said. I don't live around here. I'm supposed to be moving. We're getting married and he lives on here. My family actually grew up in Mexico, so I know all about like little towns, stuff like that. I have 4 boys, and so to hear about billboards and all that stuff, I don't support any of that, like the bad stuff on billboards. In regards to advertisement, I own a motorcycle. I've heard of K&H years ago without a billboard, so I don't think necessarily that it helps businesses advertise. You could use the internet, you could do stuff, or just word of mouth. So I feel like if you're a good company and you treat people well, that's how you get business. You don't need a billboard.
Would you state your name too, please?
Yep, Kelly Gronsky.
Did you get that? Okay. We'd just like to add it to our minutes. Anyone else for the privilege of the floor?
Name's Jared Guard.
Oh, okay.
It's like saying, if you put billboards up, it will cheapen our community. It will. That's pretty much it. Simply, it will cheapen our community. And that will have to be on all of your consciences if you do that. I hope you remember that.
Anyone else for privilege of the floor? Okay, next up is our historian, Martin.
Well, first of all, no one else is going to do it. I'm going to say to this couple, welcome. This evening I wish to report on two framed portraits by Homer's Francis Bicknell Carpenter that were recently donated to the town of Homer. They're the ones behind me. I wish the lighting was better, but we're down here in the dungeon. They've been placed, at least temporarily, upon a wall near the old stage in this building upstairs for all to see. The subjects of these two paintings are a married couple of 19th century Homer. Gideon, I love that name, Gideon and Electa, how about that name? Gideon and Electa Wadsworth Hobart. Now, originally their last name was not Hobart. Hobart was the name when they came across the border into New York State from New England. But after a while they changed their last name, which was, I'll give you the spelling first, Hoar. That's right, Hoar. So they changed the name while in Homer, and for reasons I will never understand. But I intend to have a lot of fun with this in my article when it comes out in the paper about these paintings, when the Hoars return to Homer. Now, the lineage of this family can be traced back to 16th or 17th century London and to the mayor of the city of Gloucester, England, in 1636. That mayor died in 1638, and his widow and 5 of their 6 children soon set sail for colonial America. They settled near Boston around 1640. One son, Samuel Hoar, married and sired 10 children. Cheaper by the dozen, I don't know. They were one of the first families to move west and settle Brimfield, Massachusetts. That's the town that contributed many of the early settlers to the town of Homer. In the summer of 1798, 7 years after the first settlers of European descent arrived in our area, 52-year-old Samuel Hoar visited Homer to locate lots 15 and 16, just a few miles north of today's village, on land bisected today by routes 281 and 11. There were only 92 families in the area at that time. He erected a log cabin to accommodate his large family and to anchor a future farm. The next winter, the family moved to Homer from Brimfield by a team of oxen. I can't imagine making that arduous journey by oxen. When they arrived, they found the winter snows had caused the roof of the log cabin to collapse. They took up temporary residence with the only family living between them and the growing village that would be Homer. At this time, when women had little to no voice in decision-making matters, it is notable that Samuel Hoar was pressured by his wife Dorothy to push for collecting the names of all who would be willing to take part in organizing a congregational church in Homer. The first religious society followed Dorothy Hoar's strategy, and a congregational church was formed in October of 1801. One of the Hoar children was Gideon. He was in his late teens when the family arrived in Homer. He was born March 25th, 1781 in Massachusetts. In 1806, here in Homer, he married Electa Wadsworth, also a transplant from Massachusetts. She was believed to be 4 years younger than Gideon. Now, it's this Gideon and Electa Hobart who became the subjects of portraits by Homer's Frank Carpenter. The couple had 9 children. Notice how big families were back then? Many hands make light work. A son named Manly, how appropriate, became a supervisor of the town of Homer in 1852 and 1853. Caught up in a heated controversy of that time over a proposed temperance ordinance, it has been purported Manly found himself the victim of political violence. His barn was burned by his opponents. So we've always had political violence, from colonial times to this very moment. Doesn't mean it's right. There were several Hoar families in Homer of 1831, besides that of Gideon. This next sentence sounds funny. 26 whores were listed as members of the Congregational Church. You can laugh. Get it out now. Together they chose to legally change the name to Hobart. This was done on May 1st, 1831 by an act of the state legislature. Two reasons were given for this decision according to the family's written genealogy. According to them, it seems an Episcopal bishop named Hobart was on the lecture circuit in the U.S., and the family was impressed by this gentleman, and his name was appealed. Then, too, think about it, it was determined the name change could be easily done. Just insert the letter B and add the letter T at the end. One branch of the family, however, chose to retain the name, and 3 of their members went on to serve as U.S. senators during the Civil War. Interestingly, another branch of the family tree changed the name to Homer. Gideon Hobart died April 29, 1857, age 76. Died here in Homer. He's buried in Glenwood Cemetery, Section 10, Lot 4. Electa is believed to have been 85 years old upon her death, February 23, 1870. She too is buried in Section 10 in Glenwood. Now, the 12th generation of this distinguished early Homer family was George Augustus Merrill. He married Doris Treen in October of 1923. This is of personal interest to me because Doris Treen Merrill, an immigrant from England, was my 5th grade teacher at Homer Elementary School. She was responsible for infecting me with the Civil War virus and causing discovery of Homer's 3 native sons with connections to President Lincoln through local history books I discovered shelved at Phillips Free Library. Now, George and Doris Merrill had 2 sons. You following this genealogy? Good, as I can. George and Doris Merrill had 2 sons, George Treen Merrill and Charles Henry Merrill. Charles' wife, Anne, was present several years ago at a fundraiser for the Skaneateles Public Library. It was a dinner at the Skaneateles Country Club featuring foods favored by President Lincoln. And at the table, Dave Quillen from Homer and I portrayed Homer's Francis Carpenter and William Osborne Stoddard. Mrs. Merrill invited the 2 of us to see the Carpenter portraits in her home of Gideon and Electa. Now, this Anne Merrill passed away recently, and I called her daughter, Linda Merrill Arthur, to offer my condolences and to explain how her mother had shown the handiwork of Carpenter that was rendered in 1861 and 1862, just a couple of years before he rendered his most famous painting, first reading the Emancipation Proclamation before the cabinet. At that time, Mrs. Arthur stated she had no offspring and offered to donate and personally deliver the portraits to the town of Homer. Needless to say, I was absolutely dumbstruck by this gracious offer. As the representative of the Merrill family, Brenda made the delivery on September 22nd, 2024. Thus, the 21st century descendant of English immigrants and early settlers of Homer has seen that the painted images of Gideon and Electa have returned to Homer. Gideon's portrait has already been conserved by Westlake Conservation Center in Skaneateles, but not Electa's. I asked why. They said, well, he's a man. Electa's portrait needs minimal attention. Compare the 2, if you can. Even without good lighting, you can tell that he on the left, it's a far better work of art because the conservation work has brought Gideon's features clearly to the surface. For secure public display, both should be plexiglass. I recommend that I take them to Westlake at a time you, the board, designate, and that the $200 be paid to assess the work that needs to be done and to get a quote. It takes them a few months to do the work. So if we decided to have it done, the bill would not fall due until the next budgeted year, next calendar year. Half of the cost must be a down payment, but that could be scheduled for January. I offer that proposal for your consideration and ask that you accept these portraits on behalf of the Merrill family, which you've already done because you kindly sent her a thank you note. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
We're very fortunate to have Martin and all the hard work he does. We're going to have to build another wing on this building for a future museum here. How many portraits are now in the town and village?
I know that there's 30 in the Homer Portland area. the Homer School District has 11, and others are scattered really around the green. And there's at least 8, I think, in the Cortland County Historical Society. We had asked them to donate on a rather permanent basis the portrait of Aiden Webb, who was one of the first school teachers in Homer and the first town clerk. And they didn't want to part company. But I see it as public art should be just that, public.
Right.
So we have at least 30.
Great. The other part of that, they were hung up upstairs in the hallway here, so they were hung up high. We're looking at getting a security camera to put on them in another part, so we'll have a price on that for the very near future. We got a hold of Mr. Beard to give us a price on adding 2 security cameras just to watch those paintings, because it is becoming a valuable collection here.
Well, we could take in the whole hallway, right?
Yes.
The stage
Yep.
area.
Yep, to watch all our artifacts,
Any of those things could be lifted.
which we would hate to see that happen.
That's right.
So you also said to send these out. What would we be looking at a cost to send these out?
Well, it's going to be $200 just for them to look at it and initially give me an assessment
Okay.
of what we'd like done. Plexiglass for both of them. Nothing else on Gideon, but whatever has to be done to conserve the electric for another 150 years. I've seen a couple of spots on there where there's like lumps or something. Probably the stretcher needs to be just that, stretched. I can't imagine that it needs any more attention than what we did with the last portrait. It better not, because even the frames are not as elaborate as that last one we had done. But once we get a quote, then I can come back to you with that, and we can decide, yes, it's a go, no, it's not, or it's a go, but on a time frame that's suitable for our budget.
Right. So guys, I'd entertain a motion that we spend up to $200 to get these pictures reevaluated. Let Martin take them up and get them evaluated.
And if we decide to go with it, the $200 is deducted then from the ultimate.
Just like the last time.
Transportation.
Yeah.
Okay. But there is a down payment of half the amount that we do, but we wouldn't necessarily do that until we say,
Right, that had to be in next year's budget because we've already exhausted this year's, but that's only 2 months away.
You're looking for a motion?
I am, if you guys would entertain
I
that.
would make that motion. I think these are priceless, and we're lucky to have these, and so 200 is certainly reasonable enough. I'll make the motion.
Now, would it be 200 apiece or 200 for the two?
hoping just $20 just for the pair.
Let's approve 200 apiece, just in case.
Because they were painted as a married couple. I think he was painted posthumously, either from an amphotype or a daguerreotype or some kind of image. She worked a long time, and so I think she may have been painted from life.
So Barry, would you be all right amending your motion to 200 apiece?
I would, yes.
And we need a second on that?
That's good.
Sarah? Okay. Any other discussion on that? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So Martin, you'll take care of that?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm trying to get it for $200 for the pair.
Right, but I don't want you to get there and then not be able to do it.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
The other thing, though, as long as we have Martin on the spotlight here, Martin, could you tell us a little more about the award you just got?
Okay, I'll talk about that next month.
Next month? Okay. All right. We got a celebrity in our
I gotta
there.
go home tonight. They don't wanna.
All right. Well, we're going to hold you to that next month then. All right. Thank you very much. Now, what was that? Oh, okay. I'm going to jump down. I'm going to get to West Hill Cemetery. Cemetery. Dwayne Reynolds. So that way he doesn't have to be here all night. So Dwayne, do you want to give us an update?
Sure. Had a fairly active year. Unfortunately, it started out with the death of our president of our organization. So we had to go for a search for a new president. Was able to get Phyllis Hatfield. She had experience in banking before taking over as secretary and treasurer for Husband's Trucking Company. So a good addition to our group. With suggestions for you folks last year about our lack of gained interest on our accounts. It was suggested perhaps we should close those accounts, take the penalty, and put the money in accounts bearing better interest. I did that on one account shortly after that, went from 0.01% to a full 5% on one of them. The other one I didn't move until this past September, and it's now getting 4.5. So a lot of that is what accounted for our income for this year. Our total assets at the end of last year was $81,105.35. At the end of this year, it was $84,089.61 for a gain of $2,984.26. Income, $500 from Betsy Harvey's burial. Sold a lot. Had a gift for one of the families for $500. I found it necessary to add $1 on 2 occasions to keep accounts active. I was reminded that the account was inactive for 3 months, was considered abandoned. One of Phyllis's suggestions was that the interest in the CDs be automatically rolled into our general accounts at the end of each month, which takes care of that situation and also means they don't have to visit the bank every month. So the interest on all accounts, $2,596.32 for a total income of $3,998.32. Expenditures, mostly for insurance, that sort of thing, was $1,015.13. The other big change was that our accounts originated with Portland Savings Bank, which then went to First Niagara, now Key Bank. And we've never had an issue before when it came time to change signatories on the accounts. Key Bank refused. Even though the first burials in our cemetery took place in the very early 1800s, it was a family cemetery at that time, the Simmons family. In October of 1864, there was a meeting held in cemeteries formed as a public cemetery, but it was never incorporated. And that was an issue with Key Bank. I was able to take the minutes of the formation meeting. The old secretaries put them down, they were approved, and we finally became recognized as a business, Key Bank, which caused the closure of our existing accounts and the reopening of new accounts as business accounts. I think I spent more time in the bank than the tellers did. But that's pretty much what I have to offer for this year.
Great. Any questions from the board?
Thank you for the report.
We appreciate your time spent. Thank you.
We're glad you took the advice to switch over to get the higher interest rate. That's a big help for you. Yeah.
Good move.
Thanks for offering.
So I'd like a motion to receive and file these.
I'll make a motion to receive the Homer West Hill Cemetery Association Treasurer's Report.
Second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, Mr. Phelps isn't here, so an update. Caleb, did you get an update from? You said you did.
Yep. The most dreaded time of year, they're hanging snow plows right now off of the trucks. They're halfway done with that. They should be done early next week. Within a week and a half, we will, I can't remember the guy's name, but he comes in with a conveyor system and mixes the salt and the sand. It's actually a 1B product that John switched to. So they'll be doing that within a week and a half. All the material's already on site, so that's good. They're finishing brush hogging the sides of the road in some areas where there's a lot of drifting in the wintertime. Working on that. What else do we got? Scott truck that we bought through auction. We should have that ready to go within a week. There were some things they were fixing on the sander part of that truck. And other than that, they are interviewing one more guy, I think, for part-time work this winter. Make sure they got a full crew.
Yep. The only other updates on that is the new truck is here. It's a great truck, great shape, so we were very fortunate there. That'll become a mainline truck, and our number 13, I think, is going to be our backup. So it gives us plenty of trucks this year for the first time in a long time. The other thing is we applied, as everybody knows, for an energy grant and audit, and we were approved $5,000 grant and a $10,000. We received the $5,000. We're waiting for the 10. Oh boy, we have to jump through so many hoops to get this. So we were on a phone call. They love phone calls, so we had to do that. What day was that? Monday? Tuesday? Monday. So anyways, so they're going to come down November 4th, 5th, or 6th. They're not sure what day, they're not sure what time yet, but they're going to come down, take a tour of our town highway. That's what we decided we wanted to do. So then they're going to go back and write up recommendations of how we need to spend the money, the grant, and we have to agree, which we already did, agree to one of the recommendations. So they'll give us, could be windows, lights, heat, more insulation. They're going to come back with different recommendations, and then it's up to us to spend the money on. We get to decide what we want to repair. So when that happens, so we've already got a $5,000 grant. So we'll have the money once we get the recommendations. Then we'll be able to get pricing on that and pull the trigger on that. So how quick that's going to happen, it might even be in the next year, the way this process seems to be moving along. But it is moving along.
One quick question, Mr. Supervisor. On that truck, I know we went to municipal auction and bought it, but I don't remember the final totals and what we saved or anything like that.
Well, the truck cost us $78,000, I believe it was, total. John brought us in a price for a new truck that was $330,000, which I told him we weren't interested in spending that kind of money at the point. So we saved about what, $240? Right. So and with a truck with 70,000 miles on it, so it's going to serve us well for a number of years. So. Clerks, do you ladies have anything you'd like to update us?
We don't have much. DEC slowed down because the doe tags are on hold until November 1st. We're still not sure if they're opening up a lottery for that or not. They haven't really said. We've had a couple people come in and ask, but we don't really have a clear answer for it. Our part-time clerk is doing awesome clearing up all the dog licenses. She's been working on that since day one, but we're almost done. They've also reorganized and arranged the code office. So if you're in the town hall, or upstairs next time, take a look because it looks brand new in there. And Kevin McMahon is very happy. He's voiced his opinion multiple times how it's a different world in there. So
Great. I will say, I never knew Homer had so many dogs. Oh my gosh, it's box after box. Donna's been working on this for how many, a month now, steady? So she's I'm there, are you kidding? Got boxes of dogs. Holy mackerel. But anyway, she's doing a great job. She's a great asset. And she's really moving right along through, especially her first point of business, as I pointed out, was to help Kevin McMahon get organized, doing a fantastic job. Whole office is revamped. And it's a lot easier for everybody to work there, Kevin and Brown and stuff. So that's going good. So it was a good addition, and she'll probably work her way right out of a job in a couple of years. But that was okay. That was a possible idea. Next one up is our Homer Fire Department, and Pat mentioned some of what's going on. So we have a copier, and I mentioned this before. So we have a copier upstairs that was our mainline copier. We updated our copier. We checked with the assessor's office, the code office. We checked with the village also to see if they needed, because the copier still does work all right. And everybody was set. Did I miss anybody who we asked? The fire department has a need for a copier, so I would like us to donate the copier to the Homer Fire Department. So I need a motion on that to get rid of surplus property. I need a motion on that.
I'll make the motion, Mike.
Okay.
Yep, I think a nice gesture to offer this to them.
Yep. Second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Of no monetary value.
No monetary value. Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried.
Chief Riley, we want to make sure somebody was from the fire department here tonight to say thank you, so I apologize for interrupting.
Oh, no, fine, great.
I want to say thank you.
Yep, we're glad to do it. Okay, so the other thing was we're talking about the whole Homer Fire Department, which is they put an increase. We pay for the use of their building. What do they call is it called the community building?
Pat Hill Community Building.
What's that?
Pat Hill Community Building.
Yeah. So we pay them $100 a year because they have elections there. So I just got a note yesterday. They're looking to go to $500. I'm not asking for any decisions. I got to look at our budget and stuff and talk to Tim on that. So I can do a budget modification before we vote on it, just to know that's there. So, other than that, we thank the Homer Fire Department for everything. Next is our ROAs, and that is our retirement. What's the
request for activities for the New York State retirement? And any of the members that are an employee of the town of Homer, they have to submit an ROA once in the beginning of their terms. And then we do the New York State calculation, and New York State basically just wants to know that they're working and they are receiving the NYS LRS compensation.
So we need it, and that would be Sarah and Caleb and Kevin. But right now, Kevin's already done his, so Sarah and Caleb would have to turn in a record of their hours.
And they already did.
Which they did. So we just have to approve the standard workday by New York State for the town councilman is 6 hours. So we're just approving and accepting. Am I right there? So I need a motion to approve Sarah's and Caleb's New York State retirement resolution for employees.
Can we make a motion on ourselves?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve the ROA for Caleb and myself.
Second? Okay. There we go. You two don't second it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. It's just standard that we have to do. So the Greater Tompkins Municipal Corporation Agreement, which we sign every year, and a new one was due. Do we have a copy of that in here? Okay.
That's what it is.
Which one was it? I don't know if I missed it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, look at my desk. So it gives our rate increases and stuff. I don't think we have the formal resolution to vote on yet. We'll get that in another month or so. So it has gone up. Kevin, you're part of this, correct?
Yeah, can I jump in?
Yes, you can, please.
Yeah, the Tompkins County Municipal Health Insurance Corporation had their annual meeting, which I attended. It's a once-a-year meeting. We establish policy, plans, and the budget. There was a 40% increase in the health-related benefits for the next year. COVID has caught up with us. Extra expenses have caught up with us, and higher population count in the whole group. So we know that there was some premium forgiveness a while back during the COVID. And now it's coming to that point where we need to build up some reserves. We've authorized building up some catastrophic reserves to help cushion any kind of bumps. A lot of the new medicines out there are tremendously expensive, okay, and that's showing on the bottom line. So we're looking at 14% this year. My guess is the way we're setting it up, it ought to go back down to about 9% year two, and then start dropping back down to 8% a year. Traditional market plans are upwards of 19% right now. So again, a little higher, but we're still doing pretty well with what we're doing. And that's not going to be a vote. That's just going to be a budget item for you.
Yeah. We don't have the official motion. We already did 2 of them this year. We'll have one for next year.
For the MOA? The MOA is, they're not going to buy this anymore. We've done enough MOAs.
Okay.
So we already did it.
Right. So when we get into the budget, but just to give you an idea since we're talking on to it. So for 2024, an individual insurance was $557.79, went up to $635. A family plan went from $1,450 to $1,653.28. So that's just an idea of what the rate increase, but every insurance company is doing. Alrighty, so now we're getting into our presenting the preliminary budget. That everybody should have a copy and had it. I give thanks to Fred Forbes and Donna. I can't remember their last name. Bonnie, I'm sorry.
Johnson.
Bonnie Johnson, I'm sorry. That helped put this together, and we spent quite a lot of time developing this, but we got a very good budget here, I believe. To give you an overview, our total appropriations went from $2,578,838.57 in 24 to $2,666,270 in 2025, an increase of $87,433.43, or 3.3%. So our total revenues went from $1,594,286.57 in 2024 to $1,661,643 in 2025, an increase of $67,356. Our total revenues went up 4%. Use of reserves funds to balance the budget, we used $311,250, an increase of $11,000 or 3.6%. Total to be raised by real estate taxes in 24 was $470,739. In 2025, it's going to be $475,519, or an increase of 1%, with no increase in our tax rate due to increased total assessment value of the town. Our fire tax for 2024 was $213,813. In 2025, it went up 1.9%, or $217,860, which is also a result of the increased taxable value of the town. So that's set, and I believe it's set for the next 4 years. Am I right, Pat?
3 or 4.
3 or 4, yeah. But it's set for the next few years. So overall on our budget, we're at the same tax rate of $2.32. that we've been able to hold for a number of years. I'll go through. We can answer any questions on the board. Any questions? We can start on your first page or summary page. Any questions? You want any more detail on what we're doing? We've kept or I can just give you an overview. We kept our highway budget intact with our CHIPS money. The thing I was fearing, and Pat mentioned it too, the sales tax, they left it alone this year, so we were able to not to increase our taxes. But yet, due to increased assessment value, our budget naturally went up. But we were able to absorb it without doing a tax increase. We're not going to raise our taxes unless we absolutely have to. We're trying to run as prudent as we possibly can. But I will not let us burn our reserves trying to balance our budget. We got to keep maintaining our reserves and hopefully increasing them a little bit because we're looking at a building project. We're looking at a bridge. We got to be able to buy equipment. Our town has been very fortunate in the last 20, 30 years. It's been very well run. We don't have bonds. We don't have to bond for money, which saves us a ton of money in interest payments. So we're very good there. Our fire tax went up a little bit, but we get outstanding service from them, so we really can't complain. We do the reassessment, and that's going to take effect in the first of the year. He's already gearing up for it. But again, that's 2 years away, so that'll be about time they're going to renegotiate a new contract. So if our assessment goes up because the town's worth more, the fire rate should come down a little bit because, everybody, just like our tax rate will come down because the assessment went up. We're not going to increase our spending just to increase it. Now, we may be forced to increase it, and I'm giving you guys a heads up. If the county takes what they're saying, we're going to be up to $4 or so. We stand a chance of losing $600,000 to $700,000 in our budget to sales tax, which is going to be devastating to our budget, to the village's budget, and to a lot of the other towns. And it's going to be harder on a lot of our smaller towns like Scott and Kyler because almost their total budget is built on sales tax. But anyways, we'll see. We're going to be, unfortunately, so everybody knows, the towns and the village have no say in the sales tax. That's strictly between the county and the city. But enough of us supervisors and the mayors, we went to a legislative meeting and they heard us loud and clear and they put a stay on it. And we're hoping, I suggested, involve some of us supervisors and mayors to be part of the team and see if we can't work something out. We know we're going to lose some money next year, so our budgets are going to look different next year. Just giving you a pre-warning, but right now we're in good shape. Moving forward on every line. Any questions from the board? Now this is our preliminary. I got a month to make adjustments. And next month we're going to have the final. We're not looking. I think we got it pretty well set. I'm not seeing taxes have to go up. We may have to make a few little adjustments here and there as some couple other costs are trickling in, but it's not going to be substantial. So if you don't have any questions now, I mean, you can always call me or I can meet with you or whatever, and we can go over more.
Mike, one quick question. Mr. Reynolds was telling us how well we did on the interest. And I'm just going through here, our interest line for next year. We're also showing some significant gains as well.
We're on track right now. We should be on track by the time we get our last interest payment, but it won't be into like January, February next year of almost $130,000 in interest, just by wise investments. Just like what was recommended to the, and that's 1/4 of our budget when you look at it. So it is huge. And big thanks to that goes to Fred Forbes, and then we've been watching it this year. Every time we get money that comes up, they're in CD bonds, so we're not locked in for years and years. These are all due, so if we need money, we're not locked out. So we set them up. We got some short-term and longer terms. And every time they come up, Fred and I talk about it, and we look at what I feel we're going to be spending in the next few months, and then we lock in the money again so that we can get the interest. So we even, like some bills, instead of prepaying for the whole year, we'll pay it monthly because we make more money on interest. So we put that money in interest-bearing accounts and then pay our bills. Anything we can do to help offset our taxes is what we're looking to do. And what was said earlier, by doing our reassessment, again, it's not to raise more money for the town. We have to do our reassessment because that's part of the sales tax formula. It's part of what the state demands. And we have to get our properties up to the total value. As our property value goes up, our tax rate should come down. It's going to be kind of a catch-22 because as we lose sales tax money, our tax rate is probably going to go up even if our assessment goes up, but it shouldn't be as huge of a jump. Right now, if we lost $700,000 out of our budget, we'll probably be up to 432 or better. So just, we got to pressure our legislators and stuff to, take it easy on this. We realize the county needs money too, but we got some other issues there we won't deal with tonight. Any other questions?
The extra truck, the money that we save from the truck, did we leave it in capital?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to have some capital to spend next year, without a doubt. So if there's no more questions on that, we have to set up a public hearing for next month, November 13th at 6:30 on the budget. Do I need a motion on that, Dan? Or do we
you can make it formal.
call it?
Yeah, you can do that. You can make a motion.
Should we?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion then to adopt the budget on November 13th meeting, budget hearing at 6:30 at the town hall.
For a public hearing.
For public hearing, yeah.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Because we have to adopt the budget next month.
That's your first budget, Mr.
It
Smith.
is.
That's a very good one.
Thank you. But I have a lot of good help, but I'm not going to take all the credit for it. Fred put in a lot of work on it. So the audience knows, Fred Ford was our past supervisor. He retired this past year, but he stayed on. He wanted to stay on, and he stayed on as my bookkeeper. He's fantastic at books. Takes a big burden off for me, so he does the day-to-day books for me, and we just go over everything. It's just been a fantastic help. So if you see him, thank him. He just likes being involved, and it's just great for all of us. Great for him too. So give him a lot of credit for that. Dan, do you have anything to update?
No, fairly quiet. We do have one pending subdivision request, which I'm working on sending over to county planning this week, but otherwise all else is quiet.
Okay. Anything from any of the board members? And then we're going to go into an executive session. I have a personnel issue I need to talk about. Is there any?
Has there been any follow-up from the last month from Kevin's issue with the one venue that he was struggling with, the lack of a permit, or we?
Oh, on the wedding bar? Mm-hmm. I don't think there has been anything.
Kevin sent me an email, but we'll have to get together and talk on that.
Okay.
Look at some options, see what you might want to do.
All right. So we might have something if we need to bring it next month.
Possibly.
Yeah. All right. So no resolution yet. It may take a month or two to flesh that out. Okay, so with that, folks, I'm going to call an executive session. So I need a motion to go into executive session for a personnel issue.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Okay.
Personnel issue.
Second.